Well, when it comes to tracking our region's business news, he has a front row seat. Tom Danowski interviews the top business leaders of our region as the host of the radio show Seattle CEO. He has 25 years of experience as a business strategy executive for companies like Seattle's Best Coffee, Chateau Ste. Michelle, Coca-Cola, Kraft Foods. And he's joining us today to share his unique perspective on our economy. Thanks for being here, Tom.
Thank you, Carolyn.
Not a bad gig you have.
No, it's great. I really enjoy it.
Well, we're glad to have you here. You get to hear from the CEOs themselves about what's happening here in our regional economy. What are some of the more surprising things that they've revealed to you?
Well, Carolyn, I've been doing this for about 25 years, managing marketing campaigns with many of the companies that you just mentioned. One of the things I find, especially right now, is that the CEOs who realize that just cost-cutting by itself is not a sustaining strategy are starting to, in some careful and strategic ways, look for growth opportunities. An example of that would be a company out in Redmond called Concur Technologies that helps companies squeeze the costs out of managing their expense reporting. Amazon is now selling the Kindle device. Starbucks, oatmeal, and instant coffee. There are examples of innovation. Another thing that a lot of companies are doing are focusing very much on current customers. The most important customer they've got usually is the customer they've got, and they do not want to lose that. So many CEOs are driving through their organizations this idea of renewed customer focus.
So they're having, this economy is forcing them to go way beyond cost cutting and in effect forcing them to change the entire way they're doing business.
That's entirely accurate. No CEO realizes that they're going to be able to cost cut their way to prosperity. But however, cost cutting is still with us, as we saw in the headlines yesterday about Microsoft's layoffs. It's still a reality, but it's not a strategy by itself. So companies are looking now beyond the basic cost cutting. What is the best use of the limited amount of investment I will be able to make? And a lot of times that's some new line extensions, new products. But I did hear it very good from a current CEO who said that I'm hiring very slowly, but I'm firing very quickly. They want to manage that headcount very strategically. So new jobs will be added slowly, but non-performers will be gotten rid of very quickly.
Continuing to shed the old ones, too. It's such a tightrope act, then. How do you continue to position yourself for this economy and yet be ready for the rebound when it does occur? How do you manage that?
That's a great question I've been asking a number of the CEOs that I visit with, and there are a couple of things that the better ones seem to be focusing on. Number one is that renewed customer focus. I talked with Mike Smith, who used to be president of Nordstrom.com, who now runs a company called Avel, where ladies can go and for a period of a few days or a week rent handbags or glasses. He says we use a thing called the Net Promoter Score, asking a guest like yourself, after your experience with my company, rate me on a 1 to 10 scale. The number of people who give me 8s, 9s, and 10s are what he calls promoters, people who will tell friends and family about the service. So there's a renewed customer focus, especially on loyal customers. The other thing I see companies doing is they are taking on partners. One example is the Chateau Ste. Michelle winery that now imports wines from the famous Antinori family of Italy. They don't have to own the barrels and the vineyards, but they take the wines in and sell them through their sales organization, and without adding a lot of cost, can very quickly generate revenue by importing wines.
You have to join forces to survive right now. So yeah, that doesn't surprise me. We're seeing some new alliances struck. Let's shift to the tech sector in specifics. Give us a little inside baseball here about some of the CEOs you've interviewed in the tech sector. What are you hearing there about the local economy?
Well, Carolyn, it is a very broad sector. There are consumer space, there is business-to-business technology, there is retail technology, so there is a fairly broad spectrum. I've talked with people like Robbie Cape, who left after 12 years at Microsoft to go form a company called Cozy that helps families manage their to-do lists and their communication as a family from a desktop computer in the kitchen. I talked with Mike Smith, who left Nordstrom.com to go to Avel. I've also talked with one of the award-winning companies called Wet Paint, and Ben Elowitz told me how they help people create websites that hadn't been.
Are they optimistic right now, though? What are they feeling?
Yes, they are, Carolyn. What they're hearing from their customers and what they're replaying back to me is cost consciousness is extremely real for them right now. A lot of them are venture-backed and private equity-backed companies. Those investors usually want their money back in about 5 years. The other thing I hear is that some of the ambitions about changing the world, as companies like Home Grocer were going to do 10 years ago, ambitions are more modest, costs are being much more carefully managed, but they're optimistic in the sense that they have two ways a lot of them make money. One is by selling ads on their website, Or another way is by generating money off a transaction. For example, the online real estate brokerage Redfin is generating money the same way real estate brokers have generated it for years, on transactions. So there are two revenue streams, and while advertising is getting squeezed right now, a lot of transactional websites can make money on transactions.
Being forced to be more realistic, I guess, but still optimistic, so that's good to hear. Well, thanks for sharing some of your insight with us, Tom. It was a pleasure to have you.